Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check this out. Today we're going to be reviewing the Bugs 8, new on the market from MJX RC Technic. It's the Bugs 8 introductory racing drone. If you want to get into racing and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, this is a really super cheap system. It's a brushless drone, and check this out. In this package you're getting an FPV screen, you're getting a FPV camera. Now this is 5.8 gigahertz, so you're going to have really quick response time, very similar to what you would actually be in a more high cost race drone, but this will get you started at a super cheap cost. I think it's only like a little bit over $100 or something for the entire combo kit like this, so you can't go wrong. Hopefully we're going to definitely be putting this to the test today. I'm going to be unboxing it here, doing an inspection setup, and then we're going to take it out, do some flight testing and a pros and cons. So let's get started. So don't forget, I will, as usual, have the links down in the description down there below the video so you can check it out, see what the pricing is currently, and more in-depth specs if you want to check that out. Go ahead and click that link. But without further ado, let's put it over on the table here and unbox it. So first off, we get some stickers with the instruction manual. Slide this bad boy out. Cool. Okay, so we got a little bit of tape on each side. And there we go, check it out. What a cool looking drone. So it has the same kind of form factor as the Bugs 3 I recently reviewed, where the top of the body is just this real durable plastic that actually just pushes on to these little clips. Anyway, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take everything out of the box. Charger with a USB plug. Over here on the right side, looks like we have a little sunshade for the FPV screen. Extra propellers, full set. Extra hardware and a screwdriver, plastic propeller wrench tool with some O-ring grommets. Looks like we have a screen mounter for FPV screen and another micro USB plug. Over here we got the battery. So it's a well shielded battery, and it looks like it has a cool little mini XT30 connector. These are great because they're super low weight and they're just like a miniature XT60. There's our balance port, so this is going to be a 2S, and let's see what the specs are. This is a 7.4 volt 1325C lithium polymer battery in this protective casing, so you don't have to worry about dropping it on the floor when we're charging it and damaging it, because it's got this nice hard plastic case. So that's great. Does add a little extra weight, but you know, might be worth the safety for a beginner. And here's our FPV screen. Great. So we have our channel changing, we have our brightness, contrast, a little protective coating here. Let's peel this off and see how the screen looks. Cool. So it's sort of a matte finish. We're not going to get too much glare. We do have this sunshade we're going to be putting on a second and seeing how that all works out. Here's our on-off switch here. So I just turned it on. There's a little micro USB port to charge it. And there we go. So there's our screen, and yeah, so that looks like going to be our brightness. Here's our changing our channel. We'll go and check this out when we get the quadcopter set up, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's pull the Bugs 8 out. So here it is, nicely packaged. They really went the extra mile to make sure everything's got really well protective packaging on it. Don't want to forget the controller in the bottom here. That's all that's in that box. Everything is very well packaged and protective. There's the controller. Just touch really quick on the charger. It doesn't look like they give you any wall adapter. All you get is this USB to micro USB. And it looks like that's how we're charging this thing. So this will charge either 2S or 3S. It looks like the charger can only put out 1.5 amps max. So actually that's perfect for this type of battery. It's probably going to take, you know, about a half hour to charge one battery up. So you're going to have either a computer or, you know, a plug that this goes into to your wall for like a cell phone, and then you can charge this off your wall. Otherwise, a computer or like a battery bank or something, or like a cigarette lighter in your car, if you have one of those for your cell phone, put that in there as well. So that's actually kind of convenient. And let's take a little bit of a closer look at the Bugs before we boot it up. Nice, guys, this thing's looking really good. It's got a little bit of heft to it, but I'm hoping it's like that because it's going to be super durable. And these are plastics arms. You can see how they're a little bit flexible, but hopefully that's not going to be an issue. Brushless motors. Let's see what these motors say, if they say anything. Nope. Don't see anything on the motors, but the specs were on the box here. And it's saying these are 1806 1800 kV motors. And here are the propellers. They look like to be about, these look like about 6-inch propellers. So these are looking like 6-inch with maybe a 4.5, 2-blade 4.5 bite to them. Nice propellers to get us started, and they do have that curved leading edge for better efficiency. And check out these motor caps. The motor nuts are actually a nice anodized aluminum, and they do actually have some perforation grip to them. Take it off with your fingers. I guess that's why they give you this wrench in the box. If it's too tight to take off with your fingers, just take this little white wrench here. It's just like a little gripping wrench. Slide this thing over, grip it down tight, and then go ahead and loosen. Yeah, so that worked. Quite tight from the factory. I just want to take off one of these because I've never seen these before. Pretty neat looking. Of course, we don't have to put them on that tight because they are actually reverse threaded, so it'll actually tighten before it comes off. So there is a little bit of a plastic insert in there. You see that in there? Just to make sure that the propeller is nice and tight on the motor. Okay, that's what those little O-rings were in the package. Remember that little set of O-rings in here are actually these O-rings that go in just under the lock nut to put the propellers on tight. So interesting system. Those propellers are on there. The tolerance is really tight, so you're not going to get any back and forth wish-wash or anything like that. Right on here, nice and easy. Just hold the motor and screw those on. So it looks like these ones you don't want to go super tight. That seal in there really does grip the nut down solid, so that thing is not going to spin off as long as you get it pretty finger tight. That thing is really on there. So pretty interesting system they have here. I have never seen that before. Anyway, looking at the quad a little bit more in depth, you can see that wow, cool, yes, we already have a battery installed. So we have 2 batteries. That's excellent. I love that. So we have a whole extra battery, and it just slides in with this nice little easy clicking locking system. You don't have to worry about strapping anything down. There's 2 LED lights in the back. There's where we're going to plug in our XT30 connector, and that looks like our antenna for FPV here. It's just sitting there on the side, so that should work fine. And then here's our antenna for our control. So one's FPV, one's control on the side there. Moving to the forward area, there's our FPV camera. So I was a little bit worried about them not putting that FPV camera in there, but it looks like it's just built in there. So that's great. So hopefully it's kind of a wide angle. It looks like inside there the lens is quite a wide angle lens. LED lights on the front, and this is great. Check this out. So you can, depending on the way, how good you are at flying, you can go all the way downwards for some reason if you wanted to, and it clicks and notches in there tight. This thing is not going to move around in flight. You can see that once it clicks, it just is really tight in there. So if you're beginning, have that thing facing forward. You start getting better, rotate it up, and check how far we can go up. We can go all the way to, geez, that looks like that's about like 50, 60 degrees. And it looks like you're not going to get much of the top in view when you have it all the way up anyway. I think most people are going to be just flat or just a little bit up. I'm probably going to start off flat in the flight test, and then I'll move it up a little bit once I warm up, see if we can get going quicker. But it does look very durable. There's the bottoms of the motors where the motors are just screwing in. We just have regular little Phillips head screws. The landing gear has screws as well. Looks like you can replace this very easily if you break it. Let's go ahead and pop the top off here. These are really cool. The Bug series have this really neat just pop-off system. What a great original idea they have here. And look at that. So just a super flexible, durable plastic that's really not going to crack unless you probably went upside down into some concrete really hard. So here's the camera system. It's got all this cooling inside here. Got to get the candy cane pen for this one. And there's our channel changing. So we can change our channels here. It looks like we're going to have multiple different FPV channels. You can change that if you need to. So you can definitely race a friend if you buy a couple of these, you know. and you're both on the same frequency, they give you the ability to change those. Above all the electronics, we do have this little pad here, which I'm probably not going to really try to pull off. We'll just take a little peek real quick. But those are all our ESCs and everything. It's kind of an all-in-one deal. And so it's great that they put this little pad to protect everything from shorting and stuff. So popping this thing back on, super simple. For some reason you need to open it up. Of course, get the propellers out of the way, and as easy as that, just pushing down and clicking over these little grommets, and that thing's not going to come off unless maybe you crash super duper hard. But everything's well protected. The camera's well protected from this plastic area here in front. Cool, let's start getting the controller together, get the FPV up, get some batteries in there. Okay guys, so let's delve into the FPV, and first thing I want to do is get this thing mounted up. So we've got the FPV bag here. We've just got this little bracket here that just looks like it pushes in just by tension, held in. And the way these work is it's just like a little spring-loaded clip here. You can see how that has a little tab in there that springs back in. You can see how this thing kind of has a large end of the hole here and then a smaller end of the hole. So obviously that's going to be slipping on this way. So the large portion slides in the bottom, and we're just pulling it down until we feel that click, and that means this thing is pushing in and locking that into the antenna part. And look at that. So we have a nice, easy adjustable FPV screen. We can adjust at any angle we want. And we also need to put on this little sunshade. So great little sunshade. It looks like it has just these little tabs, little crevices there, and on the sides as well, on both sides. So this clips over. And maybe if we line up the top one first, make sure that's in, and then kind of push down. There we go. Push down and find the other little slots. There we go. So I might have to work it around until that gets in there, but check that out. A nice little sunshade there. It's not coming a huge amount of distance out towards the front, but it does have like a little notch for the charging hole. Let's just go over the controller really quick, bend the screen out of the way. And so we have our throttle, yaw, throttle, roll, and pitch. These thumbsticks don't click in. Then we have our trim buttons for said controls here, power button there. And then we have, looks like motors lock and unlock. Looks like there's two rates on this, low and high for more pitch and roll for going faster. And this one looks like it's going to be like automatic flips, or maybe it has an acro mode, I don't know. I doubt this has an acro mode, so that's just going to probably be a flip button. And wow, so this one has a recording. I didn't even see that. So there's looks like there's a camera. That's interesting because usually if the camera is in line with the FPV camera on these kinds of drones, that may slow down the latency. It may get a little bit more latency if it can record. So definitely be testing that with a card. And speaking of the card, I got to check out where that card even goes. There it is. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but there is actually a little micro SD card slot in the camera, so it does do some kind of recording on the camera. So we'll be checking that out in the flight test, but right now I just want to boot this thing up on the table and just see what the latency looks like in the FPV. So slide this battery in and let's plug it in and just see what the FPV in the FPV screen looks like. Okay, so infamous brushless flight controller boot up. There's our lights on the front, big bright LED lights on the front, and there's red ones on the back. So the camera should be pushing out the FPV, and what I want to do is just turn this thing on and see how the FPV looks like on the table here. Wow, so boom, already locked in, and there it is. So let's see what the latency is here. If I hold the drone up here, we're just pointing at the table. Oh, that's actually good. Cool, so right now I'm not too worried about the latency. You know, that's not the best I've seen, but that's pretty darn good, and the picture does look pretty clear. Of course, we can adjust, you know, our brightness right here if we want to. It looks like these things are, there's no up and down, it just goes all the way up. You see on the brightness here how it's going all the way up, and then it goes back down to the bottom and you work your way up again. So that's how that works. Let me press this G. I'm not really sure what that means. There's a couple little lines that appeared on the sides of the screen there. See that? And of course this is 5.8 gigahertz. So you know, if you got some 5.8 gigahertz FPV goggles, Put those on and you should be getting the same picture here in your goggles, and maybe we'll go through that in the flight test. I'll bring a set of goggles, probably my Amways or something, my little FPV goggles, and I'll go ahead and record that in the screen so you can see how that looks. That might be a good idea, huh? Cool guys, so I think that's enough of an unboxing, inspection, and setup on this guy. There's really nothing else we can do except go outside and fly it. So let me charge all this stuff up. Get going out to the park and let's do a thorough flight test. I'm excited and see how this thing does. Also probably be doing a little bit of crashing, see what the durability is, and then we'll do a pros and cons. Wow guys, so you know what, I completely spaced out that this came with some FPV goggles too with the Bugs 8. Probably because this box was actually separate. This is the goggles box here. It was actually separate and not in the Bugs 8 box. And it was in like a larger cardboard box, and I was going out to the park and I just found this box, a white box in my living room, and I'm like, oh, what's this for? I opened it up and I forgot that these come with their own little goggle box. So check this out. When I initially got it, I was stoked about it, and it's been about a week and I just totally spaced out. But here's the goggles, just this really light box that has this compartment here that you actually open up with these tabs, and you can slide that FPV screen right in there. So we'll be testing that out too at the park. I'll probably be recording like the Amway goggles while I'm wearing these and telling you guys how it is flying in them. But you can see it does have a Fresnel lens in there, so it's going to kind of magnify the lens on the screen that's in there. And let's just go ahead and do that real quick. Put them in. So I'm just going to take off the sunshade. Look how easy that was to take off the sunshade, and then just easily pull this off. And you saw how quick and easy that was, no screwing, nothing. And the FPV screen just slides right in here. Just make sure that the buttons are on the right. Slide it down in. You can see that it notches in there perfectly. Push it all the way down to the bottom. Close this up and you're ready to go. It looks like you have to turn it on before you do that. So if you are going to use this, you know, pull this thing out, power on, make sure you're on the right channel, and everything's good to go, and then slide it in like this, close it up, and check that out. You have an FPV screen. So what a great idea these guys have done. There's no adjustments on this. That's the only con I can see so far, is there's no adjustments for focus or anything, or sliding it forward or back. So you're gonna have to kind of move them around your face to get the right focus. So it may not be for everyone. I don't see any way to pull this in or out, and there's no like rotation buttons on here. So that's what you get, but at least that's pretty awesome. You get this with the package of the Bugs 8. So anyway, again, let's get to the park with this guy and try everything and see how it is. Let's go fly it. Okay guys, here we are at the park with the Bugs 8. I'm going to give it a thorough flight test. It comes with 2 batteries, so why not use both batteries? The first battery is going to be just a line of sight, and also just using the screen FPV on the controller that they give you. And I'm also going to be recording it on my Amway goggles so you can see that FPV signal, but we'll see how it works, and we'll definitely also be seeing how the FPV is on the screen they give us. And then for the second battery, I'm gonna put on their MJX goggles, the ones they give us here. Slide this screen in the goggles. I'm gonna have these goggles on my face, fly around while I'm telling you how it is, and also recording on the Amway so you can see the feed that I'm seeing in the goggles. Of course, they have different antennas, they're different goggles, but there's no way you can record the MJX goggles. So at least it'll give us kind of an idea of how it looks. Then I'll also be recording on, there is an SD card. I went ahead and put in a micro SD card in here. So you slide your micro SD card in there with the contacts facing up. I do have a 16 gigabyte card in there. And I'll also be recording that while I'm flying around so you can see how the actual recording looks on the craft. I'm hoping there's not much latency. We'll see how it is. So anyway, let's get this thing powered up and start flying. Okay, cool. Anyway, I got the FPV goggles recording, and now let's try to press this camera button. Just pressed it once. Okay, those are pictures. I'll have that up on the screen if it does take a picture. Pressing and holding. I'm hearing 2 beeps, and there we go. So I don't know if you can see that, but I do have a record time ticking away on the bottom left. That'll be a good indication of flight time too. So arming the motors by pressing the red button. Cool, red lights come on and we're ready to go. So we're gonna launch. This is rate 1. Remember, it looks like there's 2 rates, the low and high on the left. So here we go. So nice clear FPV picture. Again, I'll have that recording on the Amways. So this is maximum pitch in low rate. You can see this angle here. There's a good angle for you. That's full stick forward. And while I'm flying full stick forward, I'm going to change it to a high rate. Boom. That was rate 2. Huh. Oh no, that was disarming. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Wow, so we do get like another 10 degrees maybe. 5 to 10 degrees of pitch. You see that change when I do that? Full forward low, right to high. Cool. So the wind, keep in mind, is blowing pretty hard from this direction. We're getting about 5 to 10. Let's check our yaw. So here's our yaw in low rate. Wind's blowing it away. So that's the low rate yaw. And I'm gonna switch to high right now. Wow, so we do have quite a bit more yaw speed as well. So that's good. 2 rates of everything here. Punch test. Well, we still have pretty fresh battery. Let's go ahead and punch it after we, yeah, let's just go ahead and punch it. I'm gonna switch to high rate, 2 beeps, just in case the wind takes it away up there. So from a hover to full punch right now. Okay, remember this is only 2S. Let's try a full throttle down and see if it falls straight down. Go. Whoa, it flipped over. That's probably because of the wind too. Well, it's not gonna really hold its level, it looks like, if you cut the throttle completely. Let me try that in rate 1. Cutting throttle now. Oh yeah, it's gonna tumble. So keep that in mind. The props do spin, but it will still tumble. Okay, what else we can do? We can do flips, guys. I don't want to accidentally hit the camera button and stop the recording, but I do want to try some flips. So let's see, I think you got to hold the direction before you press it, but I'm just going to press flip first. This top button to the left, right. Okay, so that didn't work, so I'm going to have to push forward and then flip. Oh, there we go. So no acro here, guys. So this is pre-programmed flipping, kind of like a toy quad. So holding right and then clicking flip. So you can just do quick little flips while you're flying that are pre-programmed. Does get a little bit of a wobble there on recovery. Just a little bit though. Maybe it's because of the wind. Okay, so that's what we can kind of expect for this thing. I think those are all the functions actually. And it should still be recording. And let's just do a quick little walk around. You can see those red lights in the back, really nice and bright. Easy orientation in night, it looks like. And then we got these white lights in the front. Let's get away from this sun. See if I can get my orientation right and fly in front of me with it facing in front of me. There we go, hello. It's still in the sun. That didn't work. It's either the hat camera or the other camera in the sun. Anyway, this is how it looks close up. Pretty snazzy looking. Looks like kind of a goulash from a lot of other quads. Cool. So the rest of this battery, let's just fly it crazy fast and also maybe do some range testing. So I'm gonna fly directly that way into the wind. Let's see if the controller beeps or something and how the FPV is way over there. Wow, so I'm pretty far already and no problem. The FPV is still rock solid. I'm hoping you guys can kind of see this. I'm at maybe 150 feet. No problem with the FPV, it's totally fine. And I'm not hearing any beeping for range. I don't really have enough room here since I'm in the center kind of this park to do a range test, but I'd say you're safe with 300 feet, 200 to 300 feet, no problem. Let's just zip around, see how the control is. Wow. Talk about smooth. I'm in rate 2, keep in mind. Let's do full pitch forward, full forward. It is dropping a little. fighting the wind, going into the wind. Wow, but it doesn't drop going with the wind. So if you had a calm day, it wouldn't drop. It's just because the wind is coming from that direction that the resistance and the aerodynamics of it all is pushing the top down, so it doesn't have enough power to pick it up through the wind, but still very good. Let's just fly quick. There's a pirouette here, full pirouette. So the only disappointment so far, which really isn't a disappointment if you're a beginner, is there's no acro. And not really a horizon, but you can do pre-programmed flips at least. So it's basically like attitude with pre-programmed flips. You can see how when I turn and the wind comes, hits it from the back, it starts to wobble. Let's go back into rate 1. Now we can just mash the stick in rate 1. And it is going to fly a little smoother, but you see how if you're going into the wind, it's going to be a little less capability to fight. Of course, with the wind, this is with, super quick, but against the wind, you want to switch into that higher rate. This is rate 1 here. Wow, fantastic flyer though. Look at this. Woo! Oh, almost hit the ground there. Let's not hit the power lines way over there. Yeah. I love doing that. Adrenaline rush. Just be careful. Don't hit yourself in the head. Leave it up to the little more experienced flyers to do filming like that. Anyway, gosh, I will have this timed. So I'm just mashing the forward stick and, you know, not really mashing the throttle too much. And it seems like it's a nice, quiet flyer. Listen to how quiet this thing is. Holy smokes. Very nice and quiet. Let me make sure my video's still recording. Yep. So it looks like it's just going to record what it's seeing on the FPV screen. And you know what I forgot to test? Is I want to see what the lag time is when it's recording between the video and the video and the craft. So wow, really good. Next to nothing still while it's recording on board the craft. That's actually really good. Rate 2. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go sky high. I'm just going to go super sky high. Oh, did you hear that? Okay. So is that low voltage or is that range? Okay, that's low voltage because I'm seeing the lights flash. Awesome. That's totally awesome. It gives you a beep on your controller on low voltage. And the craft's blinking, or beeping. You hear that? Has a shorter beep and the controller has a longer beep. Phenomenal. So there's some kind of telemetry communicating between the two. And that's what you need, man, for a beginner flyer. You want to know when it's time to bring it in and your controller beeps. That's great. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll try a straight up range test when I have the goggles on and see if the controller beeps on fresh battery. See if it does have a range beep. I'm just going to fly this thing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to fly this thing around until it completely kills the battery. And you shouldn't do this. You know, I do this so you guys know, in sacrifice of my batteries, at least this one battery. But I want to show you what happens if you don't heed the beeping warning and keep flying, how long you can do it for. Okay, at least I'm in the shade here. That's kind of nice. So I'm going to keep flying until it absolutely has to land. It's getting very weak, I'm full throttle up. It's going down on its own. I'm holding full throttle up still. There we go, and it shut off. I better stop the recording. It's still recording. Won't take a picture, but hopefully that recording saved on the craft, so you have to hold it. Awesome. Okay, unplugging. Turning off the controller, turning off the monitor. So what a phenomenal little cheap FPV craft so far. Really impressed at really next to no lag time, even with an onboard recording camera. And I'm wondering if it's going to be recording, it's probably going to be a better picture on here than it is in the FPV. I wouldn't imagine it's recording the scratchy FPV here. Since it's on board, you're going to be getting a much clearer picture. Anyway, I will have that up on the screen. Let's pop the second battery in, guys. I'm going to slap on the MJX goggles here, put this screen in there, and record my Amways. So you can see all two going, the camera on this and the recording in the Amways, while I do it FPV. Let's go for it. Okay, excellent. So the Amways are recording, and I will say that I had to reboot it a second time because the screen was all black. So if you have that problem with your FPV, just reboot the craft and it seems to be fine. You can see the video in here is nice and bright. Hopefully this all can fit with my camera and everything, and give it a FPV test. Okay, wow guys, so I got the goggles on and surprisingly clear. It seems like if I pull them out just a little bit, it'd be a little clearer, but you know, just because of my eyesight. But I can kind of move them around. If you have this problem, just maybe put some foam spacers in them and pull them away from your face a little bit more. First thing I want to do is record the video, so I'm holding in that bottom thing, and there we go. So recording on the screen there. You hopefully can see that recording in the Amways. And I want to launch, so I'm arming with the top left red button. See the prop spinning there on the right. I can see a prop there. And let's just start flying. Okay, cool. So I do have the camera is tilted up. I think I have it tilted, what is it? 15, 20 degrees, just to let you know. So let's see what we can do here. So I'm in rate 1 right now. Just gonna fly around nice and slow. Getting a little scratchy. You see the scratchy there because the screen doesn't have any antenna sticking up. Keep that in mind. So you might want to sit up straight. I was kind of leaning over. I'm going to sit up straight now. And okay, cool. So everything's recording. I am in rate 1, trying to fight this wind. The wind's coming directly from that direction. You can see if I let off the forward pitch, you see me drifting back. So wow. Still, man, for a beginner FPV craft, holy smokes, this thing is awesome. For this whole setup, you know, just practicing, flying around a park like this. This is great. I might want to land it and actually pitch that camera up a little bit, because watch me switch into rate 2. Whoops, that wasn't rate 2. What was that? Oh, I was already in rate 2, sorry. So see, in rate 2, that's full forward. You see I was just facing the ground. So let me bring her in. I'm gonna switch into rate 1. We're way more docile. So if you're beginning, leave it in rate 1. So I'm gonna bring her on in. Let me see how close to myself I can land without crushing myself here. Oh, this might be kind of tough. There we go. Oh, power off. Disarming. Remember that top red button. Oh, actually the propellers didn't disarm. You gotta hold it. That's right. Make sure you hold that red button and they'll disarm. Actually, I had the camera, gosh, was it straight? I think it was straight forward. So now I'm all the way up, and this is gonna be about 30 degrees, maybe 35. Let's try this, guys. Okay, arming. See the propellers there? Going straight into rate 2. And let's give this thing some yank. Woo! A little red on takeoff. It's kind of interesting. Okay. Yeah, so now you see how the horizon's much more level and I can go quicker. I'm full pitch forward right now. Hey, you know what? Let's go straight up. I'm gonna go straight up and see if I hear the controller beeping on low signal. like the Bugs 3 did. Remember that? Let's see if this one does it. Holy cow, I'm way the heck up here. Let's see how far up I am. Whoa! Okay, did you hear that little beep? Okay. Okay, there we go. So the controller will beep on low signal, so I'm going to bring it on down. Nice. Okay, so we can get a low voltage beep. So guys, be prepared for it to be pretty radical on rate 2. Wow. It kind of does feel like it's having a little bit of a self-leveling issue. Just slightly, once in a while. And you can see that this is not the ideal time to be flying FPV because the sun's really low in the sky. You know what I mean? But what a great way to practice though. Oh, getting some break up there. See if we can kind of go under this tree and hit the tree, I guess. Oh boy, let's disarm. Disarm, disarm. Okay, we're disarmed. That was probably a bad idea because I was facing into the sun and trying to do that. Okay, so just kind of grabbing it after that crash, and actually it was upside down and the cover did fly off. So let me put this cover back on. It looks like nothing's wrong with it though. Oh, actually we have a bent propeller on the front left. So you see this propeller? It's going to hit the front if I don't bend it back. So let me go ahead and bend this up. I think we'll still be okay with flying if I just kind of bend it back straight. If you're bending propellers back, just match it up with the other propeller like this, and so you can see if it's level, and that should be a good indication if you bent it back perfectly. While I have it here, you know what I want to do? I want to really quickly see what happens if I turn off the controller. I forgot to do that. So I'm going to turn off the controller right now. I just turned it off. Okay, cool. So it actually will fall after like 1 or 2 seconds, and then it beeps. You hear that beeping? So it has a lost beeper. And let's see if we turn it back on the controller. Stops beeping. So they pretty much took care of everything in here except like a low voltage OSD, but you don't really need that because you have a low voltage beeping on the controller when you're getting low. So absolutely phenomenal. Little toy grade, little racer. Kind of hybrid between toy grade and hobby. That's awesome. You know what else I wanted to do before we get back there and continue on the rest of our battery? I'm gonna do one last thing. I wanted to see what happens if it flips, hits the ground, if it'll turn off the motors. So I'm gonna arm it, give it just a little bit of throttle, and I'm gonna flip it over, and so it's upside down on the ground. Let's see what happens. See how they're still shaking? Oh, good, they did shut off. Excellent. Okay, so it did shut off and reset itself. And look, I don't have any more control, and I can still rearm. Holding to disarm. Excellent, guys. They thought of everything with this one. Oh, it looks like the battery is actually low. I'm gonna turn off this controller just so it doesn't. Okay. So we get the fast beep when the controller is disconnected, and we get the slow beep when it's either low voltage or low signal. So that's great. Okay, so I'm not going to fly it again. I'm going to stop everything, and I'm going to hope that that recording actually saved, because I think I unplugged it before I stopped the recording that last time after I hit the tree. So of course, again, to save the goggles from dying, you want to slide this out, then you want to power them off when you're done using it. There is no way to get inside there to power them off. I'm just going to leave this little screen in here for now. Let's just go through a quick little pros and cons, guys. So this thing pretty much does everything for a beginner quadcopter. and you're looking to get into FPV, geez, what is this thing, like right around $100? And you get 5.8 gigahertz FPV, first of all. Secondly, you get your RSSI and an onboard higher definition camera that you can record your video. You can't record the FPV, but if you have a separate set of goggles, you can just lock into that 5.8 gigahertz and record that, no problem. Great range. I must have went, I was probably up around 400 feet when I did that FPV range test. I went straight up. It does give you some beeping when the range is getting low, so that's awesome. You hear that beep, you come in, come back, no problem. It gives you beeping and flashing when the battery gets low. Can't ask for more on that. Excellent. You don't even have to watch your screen or anything. Your controller starts to beep. Phenomenal. I didn't do any flips in FPV, sorry about that, but it just does those automatic flips. You saw those line of sight. You can do pictures too. That's awesome. So I think I only took one picture when I was on the ground, so I'll have that pop up on the screen. Absolutely phenomenal for what it is, for the price and what it does. And you can tilt the camera. Look at this. You get better, notch this camera up and you can fly faster. So really the only con for this thing in this price range is that it doesn't have acro mode. If you're a super beginner flyer, you're not going to be able to fly in acro mode anyway. So that's really the only improvement maybe they could make down the line, is enable you to go into acro mode. I don't know if you remember XK, they kind of took away their acro mode in some of their quads because I think people were buying them and then just crashing them right away and trying to return them. So I think like for beginner quads like this, I think they're trying to keep away from giving beginners acro mode just because they break them really quick. So if you can handle it not having acro mode and not a huge amount of punch, I mean, this is only 2S, remember, and it's, you know, it's pretty light, but it's not a super light quad. Those are really the only two cons I can think of. Everything else was phenomenal. And geez, you can multitask the screen to have goggles. And the FPV signal was not bad. The screen isn't that great. It's, you know, it's not very good, super good resolution, and it doesn't have any external antenna, so maybe you could do kind of an antenna mod, maybe get that antenna up and out and get better range. You could see some scratchiness. Well, I'm not sure if you could see the scratchiness because I was recording the Amways, but I could see some scratchiness, like when I went over there behind me, it started to get a little scratchy, but it's totally manageable, you know, nothing major. Like I said too, maybe another little con would be there's no a way to adjust this, to slide this out or in for focusing. So if your eyes can't focus on the screen, you're gonna have to pull it in or out a little bit, depending on if you know, need to wear glasses or not, or if your eyesight's a little worse. So for me, it was totally tolerable, but what I could have done is built up a little bit of foam here to have it come outside of my face just a little bit, and then maybe some padding right here on the nose, because it did get a little bit sore there on the nose. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, this is just kind of a little plus thrown in. You know, they didn't really have to do this, but pretty ingenious to put a slot for a 5.8 gigahertz screen in there. It's just really a great idea by MJX. I think this thing is going to do phenomenally well. I'm really impressed with it for it being like a cross between a toy and a hobby grade drone. I mean, it has a lot of the hobby grade qualities, even more. You know, a lot of the hobby grade racing drones out there, they don't have any low level battery beeps, or they don't have any low range beeps. To get that functionality in a hobby grade drone, you have to like configure like a Tyrannus with telemetry and RSSI signal and all that stuff. But these guys have done it all, so very impressed. And they give you the ability to record onboard high definition video, so phenomenal. I'll have all that on the screen. Just really impressed. Anyway guys, I hope you liked that review of the MJX Bugs 8 and it was informative for you. Really loved it. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this one if you drop the cash for something like this. This is definitely a winner in my book for somebody trying to get into FPV racing. You won't be disappointed. It's very durable. I did crash into that tree. Bend a propeller, bend it back. Flies fine. I will have the links down in the description for this thing, so if you're looking for this guy, the specs, and some more pricing on it, check out that link, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Try and catch it, okay? yeah. That was awesome. Ready to go?